Just do your thing, if it makes you feel better, yeah. Go and sing, if it makes you feel better, yeah. You're running that race, just a little bit faster now, towards your finish line. Such a disgrace, you missed all the beautiful, you can't buy back the time. So stop and love and dance and live and laugh until you cry.
Well, what I know about this group right here is you all do your own thing. I like the line in there that said, do your thing if it makes you feel better. You can cling to your fears if you want, but to your own heart and soul be true. Last week, our guest speaker was Kathy Beasley, and she talked about breaking through. She told us that she attended a workshop, and part of the practice in the workshop was they were going to have to break a board in half. That scared her to death. She had a fear of being hurt. So the facilitator went up to her and talked to her, calmed her down, told her she'd be fine. Kathy said, so she was good. And then when she got in front of that board, she realized the facilitator had not told her how to break the board. So the facilitator came up to her and she said, just see your hand on the other side of the board. And before she knew it, her hand had gone through that board and she had broken it. Today's talk is the other side of fear. So what is the board in your life? What obstacle, what challenge are you afraid to break through that appears so great to you, it seems impossible? We all have fears as children, don't we? We know about the monster under the bed. Some of them have tentacles on them, right? But we also have those fears that we will be left, that we will be abandoned, that we may starve to death or get too fat, that we won't get what we want, or we get what we don't want, and the list goes on and on and on. Don't know. Our fears can be big ones, they can be little ones. My fear, whenever a fear came up to me, looked like a brick wall in front of me. So you're going to see brick walls in all these pictures. But I'd be so afraid that this wall would be in front of me, and there was no way I would be able to get through it. Someone had given me this book called I Come as a Brother. I lost it over the years. I got it again to try to find the line that had changed my feelings toward fear. Something in there that I read. You know how when you read something and all of a sudden the light goes on? You know, we call it the aha moment. But what I read in that book, what I understood from it was that fear is not a solid wall. And from that day on, when a fear came up for me, it became like a mist, like a fog. And all I had to do was take one step at a time. Even though I couldn't see the other side, I knew on the other side of the fear, everything would be okay. We all have fear. We're human. But the question is, how do I handle it? Do I run from it? Because if I do, I suffer. Or do I face it and experience something great? During Hurricane Matthew, Eric Olson, who lives in Nebraska, has an 87-year-old grandmother who lives here in Palm Bay. And he was very close to her. He would talk to her a lot on the phone. So he called her during the hurricane and spoke to her. And just as they were talking, she lost power. And she said, "This is a nightmare." And then he hung up. And for the next 2 days, he was unable to get a hold of her. So he contacted the police department, but he couldn't get through. He contacted the fire department. He couldn't get through. And so can you imagine if you're way out of state, there's no family, there's no one nearby, your grandmother, you don't know what's going on with her? You can feel the panic start and all the things you might start imagining. And then he stopped. He got himself calm. And when he did, he got this idea. And he picked up the phone, and he found the closest Papa John's near his grandmother, and he ordered her a pizza. Now, with that order, he had them put on the delivery slip that when the delivery person got there, they were to put his grandmother on the phone. So the delivery person's name was Tyler, and the young man got there, he knocked on the door. Grandma opened the door, here's his pizza. She goes, I didn't order a pizza. He gave her his cell phone, and there was her grandson on the phone. And Tyler said the look on her face was better than any tip he'd ever received. Eric said, what the police department couldn't do, what the fire department couldn't do, Papa John's did in 30 minutes. How do you handle your fear? Do you run from it and suffer? Or do you face it and order a pizza? We have a quote. Andrew, do you have that quote? This is by Lucas Jonkman, who says, fight your fears and you will be in a battle forever. Face your fears and you'll be free forever. Fearful things happen, don't they? Obstacles, brick walls appear before us. Like Kathy facing her board, we can break through them by seeing ourselves on the other side of that wall, on the other side of that fear. The biggest obstacles to us moving forward, to our happiness, live right here, inside our heads. It's so much easier to do battle with the other guy, with society, than it is those thoughts in my head, isn't it? So if you want to know why your life is the way it is, observe your thoughts. If you want to know why you have so much chaos in your life, notice what your thoughts are doing. If you want to know why you can't move through your fears, observe your thoughts. Whatever you desire is right here, right now, in this moment, on the other side of your fears. So what fear is your board? What fear is your brick wall? Is it the fear of failure? You'll mess up, you won't do it right, people will laugh at you. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before he got the light bulb right. And what did he say? I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways it doesn't work. And then when he was 67 years old, his building with all his records, millions of dollars worth of equipment burnt to the ground. He stood there looking at it and saying, no, all my mistakes just burnt up. I can start fresh. Do you see the attitude? Do you see the difference? He could have quit any time, but he didn't. Fear of failure. That's one of the big ones. And what it does is it paints this vivid picture of problems in our head that have no solutions. Been there? I have. And those obstacles become a brick wall in front of us. Too big to break through. Well, what's the worst that'll happen? If you fall on your face, what's that song? Pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and start all over again, right? Failure's not the end of the world. And it can be used as a stepping stone, as an opportunity to growth, to success. Is your brick wall fear of change? Fear of the unknown? We had someone walking through that lately, haven't we? Yeah. You ever find yourself standing between a life you're really not happy with and the fear of change, the fear of the unknown? After 400 years in captivity, Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt. They fled only to find themselves in front of the Red Sea with the Egyptian army bearing down on them. Imagine how fearful that must have been. Imagine them thinking, we should have stayed in Egypt. It was good enough, at least we'd be alive. Been there? when you have a change in front of you? So Moses raised his staff and he parted the Red Sea. And instead of rushing to freedom on the other side, they froze. They went, what if the walls of water come rushing down on us and kill us all? Freedom, something great, was just on the other side. But they were paralyzed with fear. Have you been there? Good enough, is the enemy of great. What fear keeps you a slave to good enough? Repeating the same life of captivity year after year after year. Frozen, unable to move, you remain in your comfort zone, and you miss out on life's great opportunities. Is your brick wall fear of rejection or criticism? Not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not handsome enough? Your imagination makes all kinds of excuses. It imagines the worst, doesn't it? I can't. I don't know how. I have to figure it all out before I start. What will others say? What will others think? We can let fear of rejection and criticism stagnate and stifle us, cause us to lose confidence, become depressed, or we can do our own thing and not let anyone else's negativity stop us. Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Walt Disney, Winston Churchill are a few that had symptoms of learning disabilities and dyslexia. They were told they were stupid, talentless, unteachable, never amount to anything, they did terrible in school, and they could have believed all those negative voices and been the smallest version of themselves, but they didn't. They overcame those negative voices. They did their own thing, and they became among the most successful people we know. Is fear of rejection and criticism keeping you from doing your own thing? Keeping you from trying something new? On any one day, we can turn the news on and hear terrible, awful things, can't we? And we have a choice. We can get angry. We can become upset. We can worry that everything's crashing around us. We can become fearful. Or we can lay aside the belief that if I'm a nice person, and if I'm a good person, I'm supposed to feel bad about all this. Not true. Because whatever I worry about, whatever I'm fearful about, I am just fueling the consciousness that created it. What we give our attention to, we give power to. And I've talked about this before. If you see an accident, if you see somebody hurt, if you see something on the news that's awful, don't go, ooh, stop. Get yourself centered, go into your hot space until you feel that peace, that love, because know your energy will then move out into the world. You have the power. And your power to feel bad, to worry, to be fearful is energy that's being sent into our world, and so that fear keeps getting bigger. Is your brick wall fear of terrible, painful circumstances? Viktor Frankl experienced unspeakable horrors for 3 years in concentration camps. Would you give me my water, please? And in the midst of the meaningless suffering, he realized, even in the cruelest, most hopeless situations, he had the power to choose his thoughts, just like you do. He could have been broken. He could have been defeated. But he wasn't. And he went on to author some 32 books and sent the message to the world that even when we are helpless to change our circumstances, we have the power within us to change our attitude. So what are the thoughts you hold that keep you in a concentration camp? Hopeless, fearful, scared. What focus are you given power to? What I want you to hear today is fear is not real. Fear is not real. Fear does not exist in the universe. It only exists in our mind. It's an illusion we give power to. Fear is just fear, created by my imagination. Do you get it? Can you hear it? It's a habit. It's a habit of focusing on the negative, isn't it? So what's on the other side of fear? In Psalms 46:11, be still, excuse me. Could you turn me off for a second? Get back on. I didn't plan on doing this, but I hurt my throat last night. I take a lot of nutrients. And John was looking at him yesterday morning. He says, wow, some of those are really big. I said, yeah, but you just got to put them down the right way. So I was working on my talk at night. They were gone. I didn't put it down the right way, and I got one stuck. And at first I went into fear. I couldn't swallow because it hurt so bad. I couldn't get it up. And look what I'm writing. So I went, okay. Just relax. Just relax. And so I'd focus on the talk, and then it would start. This lasted probably 2 hours. And then it was gone. But did I ever get to practice, folks? And so there's a little something going on in there because of that. So on the other side of fear, and I love that Michael used it, Psalms 46:11, be still and know that I am God. Be still. Know. Separation, judgment, fear is all of the ego. It's my own doing. On the other side of fear is that unity. It's that oneness with God, with Spirit. And one with the one, all the power in the universe rushes into us. When I'm in that place of oneness, it just rushes in. Because the divine does not separate. The divine only rushes to unite. Do you hear that? With whatever's going on in your life, with whatever is going on in the world. My job is not to try to fix it. My job is to start knowing more and more my oneness with God. That place of peace, that place of love inside me. Let the divine rush through me so that my energy, it comes through me, it goes out to you. It goes out to everybody I touch. It goes out into the world. That's the power we have. And with that, we're probably not going to show this video. I just scratched it. And then I get excited when I do these talks too, because as that starts to come through, there's an aliveness, there's a dynamic energy, a creative feeling that just starts to come in with us. Fear has two meanings. You ready for this, Andrew? One of them is Forget everything and run. Right? Yes. Can't get out of here fast enough. The next one is face everything and rise. You feel the difference in that? You decide how you react to circumstances. You have the power to do that. You decide who you are in those circumstances and what you can do in spite of or because of them. Do you hear the power you have? You decide what you do with your limitations. Do I see them as a challenge or an opportunity? You decide to let the brick walls stop you or move to the other side of fear. It all comes down to you. Breathe. This week, you've got homework. So when fear arises, and it will, when it does, stop, question it, observe it, and notice what thoughts, now hear this, notice what thoughts your fear is generating into the world. You want this world to look different? You want your life to look different? Pay attention to what you're thinking. If you're sending fear out there, we are adding to creating the same world over and over again. It was a talk I did at the beginning of the year. It's about time to make a difference. It's about time to change. So when that fear comes up, make a conscious choice in that moment to change your thoughts, to change your thinking. Because greatness and freedom, ours in the world, lies on the other side of fear. God bless you.